On this great Monday episode of Nothing Major, we're going to go over the Miami tournament. That's, of course, currently going on. We're going to talk about the Indian Wells players that struggled here. In particular, the 4 semifinalists from Indian Wells. Talk about João Fonseca Nation, I guess his João Fonseca Nation down in Miami with all the Brazilians turning out. Great call, Sam Querrey. Are Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev flying under the radar in Miami? And we're going to talk about, of course, all the upsets so far in the event. And we're going to revise our predictions for the rest of the tournament because some of them have gone bust already. A little bit of Gossip Corner as well. And we're going to roast a few tennis games that were submitted to us via our mailbag form. That's all ahead on our Monday show. And it starts right now. Welcome back to Nothing Major. John Isner here. I'm back from a 1-week hiatus. I know everyone missed me last week on the pod, especially these 3 guys, Sam Querrey, Jack Sock, and Stevie Johnson. We are joined with Charlie Fox, as always, and his team at Sift Creative. So let's get into it right now. We've talk a little bit, before we get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on in Miami, we'll talk a little bit of banter here. Sam Querrey, Stevie Johnson, you guys just participated in a member guest golf tournament out in California, and y'all hit some incredibly good shots. I'm gonna set it up for you. Sam Querrey, you hold out from about 80 or 90 yards for eagle. That's really cool and all, but not nearly as cool as Stevie Johnson getting a hole-in-one at a member guest event. So talk about the week and where did y'all finish up? Because I don't really know where y'all finish up, but I know y'all were pretty deep in the event. At least you made it out of your pool play or whatever it is. So how did the rest end up? Stevie, give us a rundown.
Great weekend, great fellowship with my buddy Sam Querrey. Feel very confident, more so now than ever, that if I do caddy for Sam in a match against you, John, that I will get a victory. Like, I feel like I'm the Sam Whisperer out on the golf course. But we had a great time. You know, the member guests, there's a lot of fun. We had an incredible group of 6 teams, so 12 guys. They were all incredible. But ultimately, we came in second in our group, but we got into the shootout. We got the second most points, so we made it in there, and this thing took forever. I hit my first shot in the group, and Sam didn't hit his putt in the shootout for another 50 minutes because there was so much carnage that took place with the other 10, 12, 15 groups that teed off. But ultimately, we got third. Well, we had a putt off to make the final 2 pairing, and Sam had a 100-foot putt, absolute nasty thing. And the guy before him hit it to 6 or 7 feet, and I think Sam hit it to about 12. But
that guy was 90 years old, by the way. That guy was 90 years old, too.
Yeah, and he hit some of the incredible. There's no doubt in my mind after hearing about his putt that was actually going to be close. But the hole-in-one was fantastic. It happened about 8:52 in the morning. There just was a lot of beverage consumption for the next 16 hours. So I'm probably going to take a few days off and just try and recover. But all in all, an incredible weekend. Some funny stories. But Samuel, how was it?
Hey, wait, by the way, Stevie, you can say it. Did Sam choke?
No.
Look,
okay. Sorry.
A little bit.
My bad.
I'm gonna needle Sam here a little bit. We had a 7-footer for to basically make the final group, and Sam hit a good putt and hit it. It landed it was dead in the middle, but 3 or 4 inches short. But they also rolled the greens. If you're a golfer, you know what that means. These things were concrete. You could drop your ball and it would bounce up higher. It was like a bouncy ball. These greens were nasty. Yeah, to get third in our first member guest, it's the first one I've ever played, so I'm pretty happy with our performance. Sam had a hole out for an eagle, was incredible. I had a hole-in-one. All in all, a phenomenal weekend.
Your hole-in-one's all that matters. Take everything else away. You got a hole-in-one in a massive member guest tournament. It was the coolest thing ever.
One of the top guys' dreams in the world right there. Hole-in-one at a member guest.
Luckily, it was an open bar.
Are you going to rotate between the pod members each year for that member guest?
No, he's already invited me back for next year. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, of course Stevie skates when he's supposed to pay for, get everyone drinks.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty lucky with my hole-in-ones, actually, yeah.
All right, well, congratulations to you guys. third place in member guest. Sam, I did hear you play well. I was just needling you. I'm kidding. I've lost confidence in our bet. I think you're a little bit better golfer than me. But things can change. Things can change. I do have full confidence in Jack being able to coach me, just like Stevie says he can coach you. Exactly. Anyways, that's it. Enough about golf. No one wants to hear about that anymore. Stevie, congrats on the hole-in-one. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin the show here. We've got, obviously, over the last months, we've had incredible support from people submitting fan questions, and they're kind of coming in from all different angles. What we would like to do is redirect all of the fan questions to our website. I know it might seem a little bit old school. Not many people are using websites anymore, but if all the fan mail, fan questions could come to nothingmajorshow.com and submit it that way, I think it would be a lot easier for our team to, receive those questions for us and that's so we're not gathering questions from Instagram, X, YouTube, and our website. So if we can get it all to nothingmajorshow.com, that would be a lot easier. It's pretty easy to navigate, even for someone as clueless as I am. I've been on it. You can submit your questions. It's right there, right in front and center. So that would be the best way to submit it going forward. If you guys don't mind, we would appreciate that. Michael Kosta, the author of a newly released book called Lucky Loser, which is obviously a term that us tennis players know very well. Career high ranking of number 864. Incredible effort there. But he's a host of The Daily Show and an Emmy Award winner and an all-around hilarious guy. His episode is going to drop by itself in its entirety on Thursday. And let's get into it. So we're at Miami right now. Mid-tourney review. What do we think so far? Sam, I want to toot your horn. I want to, because I wasn't on here last week. I listened to the pod. Jack, especially Stevie, you thought your take on Fonseca with being the crowd favorite was way off. Stevie, I want to give you an opportunity to apologize. But Sam, I want to toot your horn. Congratulations on that call. What do you think of, I guess, his performance so far? But also, what do you think of the crowd support? I'm happy. I'm a Miami fifth major guy. They're showing out so far, especially this weekend. Saturday and Sunday, the grounds were absolutely packed. The Argentinians, the Chileans, and of course, Fonseca from Brazil got a lot of support. So Sam, go ahead. What do you think about him in the tournament so far?
Yeah, my take last week was Fonseca is basically the biggest draw at the event, bigger than Alcaraz. Alcaraz is out of the event, so we won't know if they play each other who would have the crowd support. But we do know, because Fonseca is a star, like I've been saying for months. They moved his match the other day from one of the outside courts to the center court because it was too crowded. He's been balling out. The fans are there. The Brazilians are there. I couldn't have been more spot on my take. He is the number one biggest draw at this tournament. So I think we should start. Stevie and Jack, I'll give you guys 30 seconds just to apologize to me. And then, we can move on with the rest of the show. So go ahead.
I will give you a brief moment of a correct take because the rest of your takes have been terrible. So yes, you got one right. A blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while. So there you go.
That was not genuine.
It was not.
I do not accept.
Jack?
I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, thank you. That was true. I felt that.
I was going to say Lo Siento, but
yeah. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that.
Look, when they play in the final next year, Alcaraz is going to have the crowd support, okay?
I'm going more in. If they play in the final, it's 90-10 Fonseca. I don't know what planet you're living on.
I know, dude. Is Spain, it's Europe versus like South America. It's not it.
This is crazy down there. He's the biggest star in the world in Miami. Anyway.
You got to give credit where credit's due.
John said it just packed, and it's because of Joao Fonseca.
Absolutely. He's a star in the making for sure. And he is playing the night match tonight. And he's actually just popped in our chat here. He's the youngest tennis player ever to reach 1 million Instagram followers. Congrats to him.
It's a crazy stat.
Anyways, we'll see how he does tonight in the night match on center court. He's coming off of a Phoenix Challenger win, and he's playing very well. He looked incredibly solid against Humbert. Then he had a day off, so he should be in good form, and he goes up against Alex de Minaur tonight.
He has 1,000,001 followers now.
You just followed him.
I just followed him.
Why don't you ask him to come on the show, Sam?
I will. You know what? I will.
That's a good idea.
Does he follow you back in the next 24 hours?
No, he'll never follow me back.
So we all know that a lot gets made of the conditions in Indian Wells versus Miami, and I think that's where we're seeing the massive difference between those two tournaments in the players that went deep in Indian Wells. 6 of the 8 semifinalists on the women's side and the men's side from Indian Wells are out of the tournament already in Miami. Jack, do you think that is a product of the conditions, a product of them being, these players being exhausted from doing so well in Indian Wells, or is it a little bit of both? Because there's some serious carnage for the top-ranked players so far here in Miami.
I think it's a combo of that. I also think it almost proves our Indian Wells versus Miami debate with you. I think players just care more about Indian Wells. Yeah, I think obviously the travel going across the country, especially if you're playing late at Indian Wells, you're getting to Miami, probably later than you normally would if it was just a fresh week. And I think, as we all know, it can be crazy humid. It can be obviously disgusting conditions out there, weather-wise, and coming from very dry. And I always felt like way easier to play out in the desert than down there, especially for like a crazy sweater like me. So I always did not look forward to going to Miami just because I knew I'd struggle maybe in the heat and stuff at times. But yeah, it's probably a combo of everything. Plus, it's just a way different feel. It's a way different event. It's like playing in South America instead of the desert.
In my experience at the new Miami Open venue, which I quite like. I mean, I really like Key Biscayne. I think a lot of players or fans, I guess, would prefer the tournament to be back in Key Biscayne, but I like it in the new venue. But on the outer courts, it can be a total swamp. On center court, I've been lucky enough to play a lot of matches on center court. I think by like 1:30 p.m., it's fully covered in shade. So it's actually quite a different tournament on center court, compared to the outer courts. As I mentioned, big upsets. Which do you think? I think the answer is kind of obvious, but Stevie, I'm going to start with you. What is the biggest upset so far of the tournament, and is that upset the most impressive performance so far from a player that we've seen?
I'm not going to give you the answer you want. I mean, I think the most impressive upset of the semis is Munar over Medvedev is like the most out there, because you don't think of Munar as a hard court guy. I know he's had some good hard court results this year so far. I mean, if you look at Goffin, he has wins over Roger, Rafa, Novak, Alcaraz. Now, like, he has the pedigree to beat those top guys. Obviously he's a little older, hasn't played some of his best tennis in the last couple of years, but his high level is still very high on any given day. So that's why I would say Munar over Medvedev 2 and 3 over Sam's boy, the Medi Bear, was a little perplexing watching that match. Just out of sorts, didn't look right. He's just kind of looked a little off this year for a guy that's is a slam champion and has been a staple in the top 10 the last 5-7 years.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like the Goffin over Alcaraz, also obviously a massive upset. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like Munar over Medvedev, maybe for people that like really know tennis, is like equally as huge. Draper losing to Runa out to Opelka, maybe not as surprising. But I don't know. I just go back to like it makes Roger, Rafa, and Novak look that much more impressive, because every time they were winning Masters Series for the last 15 years, they seem to back it up with like another win in a Masters Series or another final or another semifinal. It's still like this next wave outside of, Sinner and Alcaraz have maybe separated themselves obviously a little bit, but they still don't quite have that like crazy consistency in the Master Series, especially that the big three had. And that just more credit to Roger, Rafa, and Novak for being consistent in not only the majors, but the Master Series for 17 straight years.
Stevie, I actually kind of like forgot about the Munar upset over Medvedev, because the Goffin one to me was kind of perplexing, especially with considering Carlos won the first set. You kind of won a close first set. You expect him to roll. Was not the case. And of course, Goffin was not able to back that win up as he lost to Brandon Nakashima in the next round. So that section of the draw has kind of been blown wide open. I want to move to the women's event so far down there in Miami and talk about the reigning Australian Open champion, Madison Keys. She started off really strong in Indian Wells, made it to the semifinals. Maybe people are expecting her to possibly win that event after winning the Australian Open, but she lost 0-1 to Sabalenka, and then in her second match in Miami, she lost to a bit of an unknown player, Alexandra, and I apologize if I get this pronunciation wrong, Eala, 19 years old, and Madison went down 4-2. So, Jack, I want to ask you, what do you think of I guess her form so far post Australian Open, this is something she's never experienced before. She's never won a Grand Slam. Is this loss to Eala just something that she can just write off and just delete and not worry about? Or is there a little cause for concern going forward for Madison?
I think it's tough because I think she's obviously on one side of it, she's probably playing with the most confidence she's ever had, but also probably putting the most pressure on herself as well after the biggest singles title, of her career. Winning a Grand Slam, you probably, you feel like you get the monkey off your back by winning that, big of a title after being on tour for so long. But then you're probably heading into tournaments now with extra pressure on yourself, the media putting extra pressure on you now. It's a whole new territory for her. I would just assume, obviously we have no idea, but I would assume it's maybe more outside stuff than on court hitting of the ball. Once she puts together a few good wins or puts together one more good run in a week, I think it'll probably flip for the rest of the year for her. But it's probably a little difficult backing up a slam win, and now you're expected to basically win most matches you're playing. So I would assume more outside pressure and stuff than actual ball striking and play.
I think I haven't checked the entry list, but I imagine maybe Madison is going to go on to Charleston to that fantastic event, the WTA event, which is always loaded. So see if she can turn things around a little bit. She's still the Australian Open champ. Should have a lot of confidence. I think this is just a blip on the radar, just a bizarre result. Didn't play well. Delete it. Don't worry about it. Shout out to the Rafa Nadal Academy. Because Alexandra Eala has trained there since she was 12 or 13 years old, and now she's breaking through on tour. And another alumni of the Rafa Nadal Academy is Coleman Wong of Hong Kong, who created a pretty big upset, I think in my mind, over Ben Shelton. So what do we think about the Rafa Nadal Academy and actually now starting to produce some actual legit pro players? Sam, what do you think about his academy? Rafa actually tweeted at both of them following their win. So I'm sure he's very proud of these players making some waves on the Pro Tour.
This is kind of like the first of the maybe young kids that went there that are now like 17, 18 years old that are making some splashes on the Pro Tour. We'll see if Eala, am I saying that right, and Wong can continue on and have like successful years. But I don't know. I kind of want to go to the academy myself for 3 months, see what are they teaching. Is Rafa just get back on the forehand and zing it, high cross court? Or I think it's cool. I think it's exciting. I'm sure that other players will see that and probably want to go check out the academy. But it's still too early to tell if what's going to come out of the Rafael Nadal Academy.
I was actually down there for a week one year.
I was going to ask if anyone's been down there.
Yeah, I practiced with Rafa before Madrid, I think, one year. And obviously the kids were, but yeah, there was a massive group of kids, young, 10 to 16, and you could already, they were all ballers. You could already tell. So not surprising that they're have pro players out there now that are getting results and being successful.
I was there before the French Open 1 week as well, and it's sort of just being there. He keeps all of his Grand Slam trophies at his academy. So just being on the grounds is incredibly inspiring, obviously. So it's great to see. The place is fantastic. Congrats to those two players. Hopefully they can keep it going. Wong actually has a really good draw. He plays a lucky loser, Adam Walton of Australia, to make the fourth round. Good draw for him, but he's earned it after he beat Ben Shelton 7-6 in the third in Ben Shelton's first match. But let's move on to the story of the tournament so far, and it's without a doubt João Fonseca. His second match was scheduled for grandstand a few days ago, and because of the demand, I guess Fonseca Mania being so rabid down there, tournament director James Blake, might have to bring him on the pod for an emergency session, moved his match to center court. A lot of the fans that were already packed on grandstand, I heard, were really, really annoyed at that because they expected to, see Fonseca on grandstand. Moved it to center court, just I'm assuming to accommodate all the rush of fans, in particular Brazilian fans coming to watch him. What do you guys think about that? I've never seen that happen. A match moved to another court, not because of weather or not because of time delays or anything. That's a pretty crazy event in my mind, Sam. It backs up your point from the pod last week. So Sam, I want to start with you. Have you ever seen that before? Like a match move like that, not because of inclement weather or any other reasons?
Never. And I feel for the people that were actually on grandstand and had, I don't know how the tickets work, but if you had a ticket to that court, you're expecting them to play, like, that's a little rough. I don't know if they got to go over and watch on center, but I honestly think it could have been for like a safety issue. Sometimes on those outside courts, there's so many people maybe trying to like get in the corners or climb up and like watch him play that they might have made the call honestly purely for safety of people. But again, that just goes to show like how massive of a star he is there right now. And if he keeps on the trajectory he's on, like we could actually see a Masters series in Brazil or in South America. Like sometimes one player like this can have so much of an influence that they can change like how the tennis calendar works or change how sponsorship works or be able to like influence these like a massive new tournament somewhere in South America. So not surprised by it, and ultimately probably the right call.
Jack, I want to ask you this question. We've seen him play over the last few months. We know he won Buenos Aires. How long do you think it's going to be till he's threatening? I don't want to like put all the pressure in the world on him right now until he's threatening, and it could be this week in Miami, threatening to win Masters 1000s events, and after that, maybe even Grand Slams. Do you think he's on the cusp of that, or do you think he's maybe a few years away?
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. It's weird. Maybe it's the mania, and we're all like falling for it. But like I already think of him as like a top 10 player. It's kind of weird to say, like, or a top 15 player. Like I feel like if he's obviously clicking and firing on all cylinders, I take him against pretty much anybody in the world that he's playing. Obviously, there's still, I would assume naturally some still maturing and just getting older, getting more experience, getting more reps on tour. But if he went and won Miami, I don't think I would be surprised, especially with how the draw is shaking out as well a little bit. But no, I don't. If he won a slam the next 2 years either, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Jack's pretty close on that. I'm gonna just piggyback on his takes here. I think he can definitely win Master Series for sure this year. I mean, he has the ability, he has the game. I don't know if winning a slam in your first year on tour is something that's super feasible, even with how good he is. I just think it's got to be some type of learning curve emotionally, mentally, physically, to play 2 weeks, 3 out of 5, 7 matches. And I just don't know if he's going to have that, that box ticked on his, repertoire quite yet this year. I think he could make runs. I just don't know if he can win one this year, but I would say in the next couple of years for sure, once he gets some more experience at slams, playing 3 out of 5, playing in a quarters or semis, like getting those reps in is going to be huge for him, because I just think those other guys will have the experience in those matches at the moment. They might not have the tennis that he does at the moment, but they might have that that edge when it comes late into a second week of a slam. Just this year. I think next year, the following year, we could definitely see him winning a slam.
I always felt this, like, experience is overrated when people talk about it in tennis and all sports. I think it's the most overrated asset people talked about. Oh, this guy's got experience, he's going to get through. Like, absolutely not. In all sports, honestly, in all sports. I take, like, the hot young guy that's, like, playing well over, like, the dude who has, like, 8 years experience.
I'm with you, Sam. I think sometimes with experience, being a veteran, comes a lot of scar tissue. I think you see it in like college tennis a lot. You see like the senior going up against the freshman with the match on the line. Well, all the pressure in the world is on the senior, and you see the freshman come through a lot. It just happens, guys. I think scar tissue.
Comparing Grand Slams to like futures right now, if you're going to go with that?
No, I'm just saying at all levels of tennis. I'm just saying, no, not futures. I'm just giving an example of college tennis, but I just think these young players don't have a lot of scar tissue. They go out there and play with no pressures, less expectation, and sometimes experience comes with a heavy bit of expectation, which can play against them. So, Sam, I think you're spot on.
So you have no, like, you make finals of DC like a month after college, right? 500 event. So you don't even think about it at that. I mean, I'm saying it's a different level, 500. You have no, like, you're a little nervous because you're in a semi or a final and your big first event to like make your name for yourself, or Am I off on that, John, or no?
I really wasn't that nervous in the finals. Like, what do I have to be nervous about? Or like, I was in the finals at that point. I was nervous in my first few matches because you want to
say like quarters or semis, right? Because in the finals, there's an end. Like, are you nervous in the quarters or semis? Because you're like, if I win this, I could cement myself for the next year, or I can cement myself, right, like quickly on the ATP tour.
Right out of college, Stevie, for people that don't know, I made the finals of Washington, D.C., and I totally botted it. I won 5 matches, 7-6 in the third, consecutively, to make the finals. In 2007, at the Leg Mason was what it was back then. And no, I didn't feel that much pressure because I was the underdog every match, and I was beating more experienced players. I beat Tim Hinman. I beat Tommy Haas. I beat Monfils, even though I'm older than him and he'd already been on the tour for a few years. So, no, I didn't really feel that much pressure. I think the most pressure I felt, and maybe toss this off to you guys afterwards, is when, like, I've been on tour for a long time. There are a lot of expectations. You're ranked high. You've played this tournament 3 or 4 times. You haven't necessarily broken through at that tournament, a big tournament. And then people have a lot of expectations for you to do well in the 5th year. So that's when I felt a lot of pressure, which sometimes I think experience maybe went against me because I kind of overthought it. Is that what you guys maybe thought, Jack, sometimes when you were, playing your best? Or how about this? After you finished the year top 10 in the world in 2017, of course, a lot of expectations for you to, I guess, build off of that. And it wasn't really the case in 2018.
Yeah, probably one of my worst years, actually, after that. Yeah, I was... Yeah, obviously finished the year in 17, like I've said multiple times, but like playing with house money, it could have ended very differently that year. And then I went into 2018, and kind of like what I was just saying, maybe with the Madison Keys thing. I mean, I now expected myself to win a lot of matches, and especially with guys ranked behind me, and that just wasn't the case. I started losing a lot, and then your confidence goes down, and so the experience and everything that I got from the end of 2017 did not translate going into 2018 at all.
When it comes down to it for me, if 2 guys are playing or 2 women are playing, who's playing better at the moment? That's who I'm taking. Not the person who's got more experience or who's younger, older, just who's playing better. If that's the younger person who's been on tour for 5 months, give me them to take the win.
Let's talk about the greatest tennis player of all time, Novak Djokovic, who is playing Miami. It seems like he hasn't played Miami in forever. I don't know the stats, but
2019, I think we talked about it last week.
All right, 2019. So first time in a long time he's been there. And Alexander Zverev, the number 1 seed, who was the number 1 seed at Indian Wells, went out early. They looked pretty impressive in their first match and first few matches, excuse me. And now are they sort of, in a sense, flying under the radar? I think with all the upsets going on and Djokovic not looking good in Indian Wells, and people aren't really expecting. Zverev didn't look good either. I think people aren't expecting much of them, but they seem to be pretty solid so far. So, Sam, do you think these two are flying under the radar right now?
That's like an understatement. They're like flying 100 miles below the radar. Like they've just like you kind of just look up and they've each won a couple matches easily. These other, Medvedev, Alcaraz have been upset, Draper out, Holger Rune out. So yes, I think we're just going to look up later in the week, and then all of a sudden they're both going to be in the semifinals. And I don't know if that's going to be the spark that they're going to have to kind of get their year going. But it feels like it's just like must needed runs for both of them. And fortunately for them, like they're not a storyline this week. And I think a lot of times that makes it easier to play. So I'm looking for both of them at this point to just quietly work their way to the semifinals or better.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be great to see them in the semifinals, number 1 in the 4 seed. It'd be awesome for the tournament, especially since Djokovic hasn't played it in quite some time. All right, let's talk real quick about Gael Monfils. I know we've spoken about him in previous pods. He's 38 years old, and he's spent about 6 hours on court through his first few matches, and he's still alive. He's won 2 matches, 7-6 in the third, I think. In these crazy conditions, he's had the crowd just obviously crazy pulling for him in each and every match. As we mentioned, Miami, the crowds are showing out there. So Monfils, impressive to see. Do you guys think he can continue this? I mean, he's getting some days off, but eventually when you're 38 and you're playing a lot of these long matches and as physical as he plays, is that going to wear on him, Stevie, or do you expect him to put up a good fight in his next match?
We talked about it in, I believe it was Australia. When he runs out of track, it's over. But when, he's like a roller coaster. As long as he's still going up to the top, he's going to be fine. But at some point, I feel like he just runs out of road. He plays Sebastian Korda on Tuesday, I believe. So I think he can, out-veteran him in that one just with his tennis abilities. I mean, Sebi hasn't had the best of years. He's had a great week so far. And I do think he's got a good chance to get through it. If he gets through Sebi, he'll have a tough one against Musetti Novak. I think that's where his tournament ends on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever they'll play that match. But I think he gets through Korda and then kind of runs out of road in the following match. But impressive to see at 38 to do it the way he's doing it, especially with how he moves.
Did you guys see Korda's not celebration right after he won match point against Tsitsipas? Turns to his crowd and goes, "This is my effing town. This is my effing court." Did you guys see that?
No way. That's so
It's
un-Korda-like.
like a
I love
huge
that.
show of emotion.
Yeah.
Very un-Korda-like. So yeah, I think right now for Sebastian,
I think I changed my tune now after hearing that. If I would have had that information prior,
you got to watch it. It's on Tennis TV or anything. It's out there.
I didn't know Sebi had that kind of fire in him. I'm going to have to rethink my thought. I didn't know that. That was new information. We uncovered new things. I'm allowed to change my opinion.
So he's bringing over some confidence from his Indian Wells half-court tennis finals run. And he's seems to be playing well. His body seems to be holding up, which is what's been holding him back so far here in 2025. Talk really quick about some of the American players on the men's and women's side so far in Miami. Ben Shelton and Tommy Paul going out early. We talked about Ben Shelton losing to Coleman Wong. Tommy Paul losing to Cerundolo last night. Cerundolo has a great record against Tommy. He mentioned that on the pod, like a player that he didn't really enjoy playing. We asked him rapid fire questions, and he said Cerundolo. The guy matches up well against him for some reason. Obviously, he feels at home playing in Miami, so it's tough, I think, for American tennis fans to see Ben go out early and Tommy go out relatively early. And also Madison Keys talked about that. So
Emma out early as well. Emma
Navarro, thank you, Jack. Yeah, she lost, and she served for the match, I believe. Disappointing result for Emma and Madison, and we'll see if they can turn things around in Charleston coming up next week. We're going to go back to y'all's predictions, not our predictions, because I was not on the pod last week, and you guys did like a lock of the week, someone who's not necessarily going to win the tournament, but it's going to go far in the tournament. And we'll start with Sam. You said Medibert. Good pick.
Thank you.
He lost
Thank you.
3-2 in his first match to Munar on hard courts.
Yeah.
Jack said Taylor Fritz. Good call. Stevie said Alcaraz. Very chalkish call.
Who would you have said?
Maybe I was going first. I might have said Alcaraz, but guess we'll never know.
I'm going Zverev.
All right, and a non-seed to make the quarters. Sam and Jack, you guys both said Fonseca. Great call. Stevie said Monfils. Good call. Still alive. American go the furthest. Sammy said Mickelson, and you said that he would beat Novak Djokovic. Jack chose Tommy, as he always does. Tommy lost, and Stevie chose Fritz. Still alive, so Stevie's going to get the nod there. So, all right, if we're going to, with Stevie off the pod, let's redraft our ATP and WTA champions from the Miami Open. So let's redraft it. Sam, start with your ATP and your WTA champ. Then Jack, you will go.
I'm going Zverev and Swiatek.
I'm going Fonseca and sticking with Qinwang Zhang on the women's side.
I'm going to go with Novak and Jesse Pegula. All right, that's enough of Miami so far. We'll see how the tournament progresses after this. Now, let's move on to Sam Querrey's favorite section, Gossip Corner. It's Gossip Corner time. Stevie Johnson, he just left. He had to go. He had to pick up his daughter from school or take her to school, something like that. Good on you, Stevie. We're going to roast you at the end of this pod like you guys roasted me at the end of last pod. Yes, I did listen to it. Jack and Sam, Jack in particular, I thought I remedied the slow talking thing. We've been over this. I feel like I'm talking like too fast now.
You're getting
Way
better.
better.
Okay, thank you. I just thought I got like better enough to where it didn't have to be mentioned. Like it was definitely a thing early on. Fair enough. I appreciate the constructive criticism. I think
You're on fire today, by the way.
Yeah, most improved player.
It's Gossip Corner time. We had a question submitted to us. This was on our website, I believe, from Julian Sanita. And Sam, I'm going to let you start with this because the gossip corner is like your little baby, okay? And so the question is, Alexandra Eala and Coleman Wong are making waves in Miami, but they're also dating? Question mark. I love them both, and this is great couple goal stuff. Great to see after the recent breakups of Sinner and Anna, who is that?
Kalinskaya.
Okay. And Shev and Poda. I don't know who that is, but
Shevchenko and Potapova, they were dating. They're now broken
yes,
up.
you mentioned that.
Potapova is
Okay.
now in Greek Sports Box. But anyway, I had this Eala and Coleman Wong relationship in my Gossip Corner notes for the day. But then after a little bit more of a deep dive, they actually aren't dating. I think everyone wanted them to be dating. They're not dating. So let's just get that out there for the open. They could be dating other people, but they're not dating each other. Also, Ben Shelton and Trinity Rodman officially dating. We hit on this last week. Have you heard of this thing now? People are going a hard launch. Last week was a soft launch. I don't know. This week, it's official. Hard launch official. Did you guys see this dinner that they were doing in Miami? It was with James Blake, Querton, Dimitrov, Medvedev, and maybe someone else. And it was like a dinner table kind of thing. And they're chatting. It was super cringe.
over wine,
Over wine. I hate all the wine stuff. That's they're...
So they're just having a candid conversation?
Yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of it.
Where did they post that? I didn't see that.
I don't know, all over their websites and stuff. Nothing's verified on Gossip Corner, just so people know. This is all just hearsay. I feel like a lot of other platforms, tournaments are starting to copy us with the fun stuff that we're doing. Have you guys noticed this too?
Yeah.
It's the best form of flattery, right? People are starting to do these fun interviews, funny segments, games. It all is from us. So I don't really know what to say after that, but I just know people are copying us with the fun segments. Anyway, that's all. That's Gossip Corner for the week. Send in anonymous tips. If I like them, I'm going to put them in here. Some of the stuff that has been sent in I can't talk about, but I do like getting the anonymous tips for Gossip Corner.
All right, enough of Gossip Corner. Wasn't that juicy this week, in my opinion? So we're going to move on to a fan that submitted a video of himself playing tennis. We're going to give our honest opinions on that. He asked us to roast us, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, I mentioned at the intro of today's show that we had some fans send in some videos of themselves playing tennis and asking us to roast them that they submitted on nothingmajorshow.com. Which is very easy to navigate. So if you guys want to do that and have us roast you, please submit them to our website. And we had someone submit, and it's anonymous. We don't have the name. And he wrote, and we're about to play the video. He goes, "You mentioned you wanted videos to roast. So here's a drill that I made up when I wanted to work on my swing, but also I had a tough hike coming up. So I wanted to practice going up the stairs." All right, here it is. Jack, here's our guy. He's got a one-handed backhand.
He must hike a lot in his day. I've never seen calves. He lives with Phil Mickelson calves.
I mean, the strokes itself aren't bad, right, Jack?
Yeah, I mean the one he looks like a liability for sure.
What is he doing? just why are you climbing the steps, hitting shots? It's just so stupid and pointless.
Well, I mean, yeah, most tennis courts are flat, so I'm not sure why you're going uphill hitting.
I don't understand that. The drill is completely and totally stupid and pointless. That's it. A little more housekeeping here. On Friday is going to be a big Miami Open themed mailbag. So if you have any questions pertaining to the tournament, please submit them at our website, nothingmajorshow.com. Submit them on there. We'll get to them in their entirety on Friday. That's it, y'all, for the Monday episode. Appreciate you tuning in. Jack, thanks for hanging in there. All episodes, Stevie and Sam ditched us. How about, I know you guys ended with last week with name something that John Isner, I just said in third person there, that I do that really annoys you. Let's do it for Sam Querrey. Okay, what is one thing that Sam does that annoys you?
In regards to actually doing the pod and everything, you can't really, there's not really much. I mean, his ideas are always hilarious. He's kind of, at most of the time, he's the brains behind a lot of this stuff. I would probably just go with more of his fashion sense when he's on camera with us. His t-shirt selections and stuff sometimes are just as bad as it gets. Abby's got to style him a little better or something, but he rocks up another Babies R Us tee that it's hard to look at.
especially because his arms are kind of skinny, right? And he's tan here, and he's got the tan. He's pale, like really pale up here, and he's like wearing a shirt that's like way too short. He obviously doesn't care. He's not trying to impress anyone. So I guess in some sense you have to respect it. I'm just gonna roast the fact that he doesn't like dogs, and I'll keep harping on that. That's it, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.